Hey friends, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Immy and we talk about all things to do with sustainability, plant-based eating and lots more things. So if you're interested, hit the subscribe button so that you never miss another video. So today's video is all about, I tried viral zero waste hacks to see if they actually work, because there are so many hacks online, and are they just a waste of money? Are they creating more waste? Well, let's find out. One zero waste hack, however, that I always swear by is trading in your old technology, your phones, etc., and buying secondhand, because tech is one of the most wasteful things we can buy. So I want to say a massive thank you to today's sponsor, TradeMore, because they basically give old tech a new life. So if you are considering investing in a phone that you need, or your phone's broken, or you want to upgrade your phone, or you want to get something as a present for someone, a smartwatch, a tablet, whatever, I really encourage you to look at TradeMore instead of buying new, because again, it's one of the best sustainable things that we can do as individuals. I encourage you to team with TradeMore for 2021 to live a more sustainable and cost-effective lifestyle. Okay, so one of the most viral videos I found had like 15 million views. So we are gonna check that out first, and we're gonna try out some of them. And we're also gonna talk about whether some of them are even worth trying, because let's be honest, lots of them aren't. I would also like to point out that if there's a zero waste hack online that's kind of like a DIY for something that you would never use if you made something well and correctly, then there's no point in you doing it, because if you're just giving it a new life but it's not going to get used, you might as well recycle that item or donate that item or find another way to dispose of it sustainably. Okay, this one we could definitely try. This is about dyeing stuff with like onion skins and vinegar and stuff like that. But one of the things that kind of surprises me is that it always seems to come out perfect. So I think we'll try this and see how well it actually comes out, because those are always the things that you think about as well whenever you see like I don't know, dyeing something with food and stuff like that. So I think we're going to give one of those a go, because I actually have some t-shirts that are got holes in and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to give that a go and see if that actually works and if it actually turns it green. Okay, so the instructions were absolutely appalling. So we're going to go with something that is low risk. We're going to go with something that's low risk. So I just have this white muslin cloth that I use, and then I've got my red onion and my vinegar. So we're going to give it a go. We're going to put in what it looks like they've put in, and then I guess we'll wait and see.
Welcome back. We're back to it. Welcome back.
I guess now we wait a couple of hours, maybe, to see if it actually works. Okay, one that I certainly will not be trying, but I had to talk about, was basically they've made a wash basket out of old plastic bottle caps. Now, I can understand why they think this would be a good idea, but someone has even commented very helpfully that it would take 1,264 bottle caps to create this whole thing. Now, is that encouraging people to go out of their way to get bottle caps so they could try this DIY at home? Potentially. Just to clarify, what I mean here is to go out and actually buy more plastic bottles so that they have these plastic caps so that they can create it. I don't mean go out and find recycled ones or things that are going to go to waste anyway. I mean creating a demand for new bottle caps by this. Do you know anyone who's drinking that many bottled things? Even for people who drink bottled water or bottled, I don't know, sodas and things like that. Are they going to be drinking that many? How long would that take them to store up? Maybe a year, 2 years? But yeah, I wanted to highlight this one because I think it's absolute nonsense. I just don't understand. Maybe a business might come out with that many bottle caps, but as a person at home, for which I think this is targeted at, I don't think that is at all plausible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Good morning friends, it is the next day, so we're going to go and take a look at our experiment to see if our red onions and vinegar actually turned my cloth green. So let's go and take a look. As you can see, we are still red, so we're not green, but we're going to take this out and see if any of this has actually stayed in here as red. Okay, so I think we have a tie-dye situation going on where it's a little bit pink, it's actually a little bit green, but it's mostly white. So I'm gonna wait for it to dry and then we will see how it really turns out. Okay, it's a moment of truth. Does this look green to you? Okay, obviously you can't tell that well if you're looking at it, but it's definitely gone greener in spots, tiny bit pink, but once I basically rinsed it out, it kind of lost a lot of the colour that I thought that it had, especially after it dried. I mean, there are definitely bits on it that are certainly green, that are tiny, but let's compare this to what theirs looked like, and then let's think, does this actually work? The confusing thing is I've definitely seen other people using food things, like I saw Shell Bizzle using avocado pits to create pink dye stuff, and I've seen people do this before and it's clearly worked because they've tried it out from start to finish, but this just seemed too simple. I mean, you've got a big pink splodge there. I don't know how you'd get a uniform colour. I feel like it's always going to be a sort of tie-dye style looking thing, but needless to say, for me this was a fail, even though potentially it has potential. Maybe I did it wrong. I did try and really scrupulously look with the very minimal instructions that I had. I think let's move on to another one to see if that viral hack is going to work slightly better. So this one is going to be a much more practical zero waste hack that seems to be very popular online. So I've talked about it before, I'm sure you've heard it many times about reusing jars. But one thing that a lot of people want to do to have them a slightly more uniform is to take the actual paper sticker that happens to be on the glass jar off. Obviously, you can keep this on, but I just wanted to see one of the hacks that people talk about and see how we can remove that properly. Another hack that people seem to talk about a lot online is how to make a DIY surface cleaner out of old fruit peels and things like that. So let's go through that and do one of those as well. I've talked about this before and I'm actually a big fan of these, but there are just some things that you have to remember to do, otherwise they won't work. Okay, so I have this pot that's got this thing on it, so we're going to take this off. Apparently what we do is we soak it in water, and then once we've done that we use a bit of olive oil and baking soda to get any of the glue that's on here off. So first let's soak this and then we'll see if that little hack works.
Welcome back.
Okay, so on the whole that was pretty easy to take off. There's just a little bit of glue left on the bottom, so we'll put some olive oil and baking soda on there to see if that helps to get it off a little bit more, because it's really annoying when you get that little bit of glue stuck on the bottom and you just want to remove it if you want to put a new label on or something like that, or just keep it just completely clear. Okay, after one go, it's just left a tiny bit of residue left, so we're gonna do it one more time. Okay, so hopefully you can see that it did actually come off really nice and clear. So I know it's not the biggest deal to, you know, take the labels off jars if you have them, but if you have loads of jars and they all have labels on them and they're in your cupboard, it actually makes it harder to see what's in your jars. And especially if you just refill them with the same thing, sometimes it's nice to label them with what you're actually going to use them for. But yeah, that hack worked really well. The only thing is I used my finger, and I used my finger instead of like a scrubbing brush because I just wanted to see how easy it actually was without using an abrasive scrubbing brush, just in case you're using it on something that's a little bit more delicate. So yeah, thumbs up for that hack. I think that's a great hack. So let's talk about DIY cleaning products, and we'll go through how to make an actual one for surfaces that doesn't go moldy or smell like vinegar. Okay, so when people talk about DIY cleaning hacks, they always talk about making your own DIY cleaner. And I've seen a lot of variations online. I've seen people put essential oils in them. I've seen people do them in all different sorts of ways. But some of the main things I see that people do that's slightly wrong is when you're using your lemons or your citrus peels or whatever, they seem to leave a lot of the juice or the kind of fleshy part of the citrus inside. And that is a big no, because if you do that, it basically helps it to create mold. And I've done this before by accident when I was completely inexperienced, and this might not happen for everyone, but I kind of think that it will from my own experience. But that is, anecdata, so what do we think about that? So what I would suggest is, if you're going to, you can see here it still has some of the flesh inside. We don't want that. We want to make sure all of that comes out before we put it in here. And a lot of people who hate the smell of vinegar, you need to put a lot of peels in there and then leave it for at least 10 days. Because if you're not leaving it for at least 10 days, then it's going to smell like vinegar, and everywhere in your room is going to smell like vinegar that you're washing. But also, if you are going to use vinegar, and you don't like it, make sure the windows are open, make sure it allows it to air out. But I will say that I personally think that it is a great cleaner, especially when you use it with baking soda. I found that in my bathroom in particular, using those in conjunction has helped to defeat limescale. However, what I will say is that there are so many companies out there that actually create their own ones that you can just use and refill. Like for example, Neat, they have a glass bottle that you can basically, it's only about this big, and you mix it with water and that's your spray. That's great. So if you're not into DIY, that's totally fine. There are plenty of DIYs that I'm not for. But a big thing is to always scrape this out so that it's just this. Okay, the last one we're gonna try involves a glass bottle, some acetone and some lighting on fire. So I don't suggest you try this at home. I'm gonna get some help to do this with me, and we're going to do it outside just to be a bit safer, but we're just going to see if it actually works, and if it's really dangerous then you shouldn't try it at home. Okay, small change of plan. We're actually going to use a gin bottle because it's a better shape for this. Okay, I don't know if this counts, but I have nail varnish remover. That's what my mum has, but one of the ingredients is acetone, so we're just going to see if that works. Okay, so I'm not doing this in the most safe way, so really don't follow my instruction. But if it does get too hot, I'm just going to drop it in the cold water and we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's give this a go. I don't know how long you're supposed to leave it for.
Probably until it burns out. That's how you get it hot enough.
Is this working? Is it still burning?
I can see the heat. And it's burning at the bottom as well.
Okay, good. Okay, well, we're having a nightmare just with bloody getting it started. For f***'s sake. It is safe to say that that was a massive failure. Probably completely again on my part, but also not very fire safe, I'm not gonna lie, but also not clear. That's one of my biggest issues with these videos, is that they're not clear if they're a really simple, quick hack. If you're gonna do something that involves, you know, several steps, it's got to be clear. You've got to have clear instructions, and that was not clear. Probably one of the reasons why I failed. But also probably because I didn't have pure acetone. I just had a acetone mixture, but it was fun to try. If, like me, you got into zero waste many years ago, and actually probably maybe still relevant now, but zero waste toothpaste and DIYing your kind of toothpaste is a huge thing that people like to do. They like to use baking soda as just a scrub thing. And I'm just personally not for it. That could be because I personally have had a lot of teeth issues, not to do with anything to do with zero waste, just generally I've had many problems with my wisdom teeth. I've had many of them taken out and all that kind of stuff, but because they became problematic, not because they just get taken out like they do in places like the US. In the UK, you don't tend to have them taken out unless they become problematic. So I was always skeptical about zero waste toothpaste, DIYing toothpaste, hacks like that in that kind of way. So when I did try it, it tasted horrible. People used to say that, you know, using coconut oil would help to make your teeth white. I did try this and it did not work. I tried oil pulling, and for one, it makes your mouth taste quite disgusting. They also use a hell of a lot of coconut oil, and coconut oil is a precious resource when we think about where it comes from and having to ship it over to the UK and all of that kind of stuff. And then also, if you're actually oil pulling and then putting that oil into your sink, coconut oil solidifies and it creates blockages, and it's very annoying. Safe to say, I'm not a fan of oil pulling with coconut oil. I am not a fan of using baking soda and DIY toothpaste. And, you know, you might be a fan of it, you might have seen the benefits, and I would love to hear your experience in the comments, because it's always good to share different experiences, but I always come back to the fact that I'm not an expert. I know nothing about dentistry, only that it hurts. So I just can't understand why I would think that I know better, and creating a toothpaste out of something like baking soda is gonna give my teeth and my gums and my mouth oral hygiene everything that it needs. In fact, I actually privated a lot of videos that I made a couple of years ago, thinking that I knew better when it came to DIYing toothpaste and mouthwash and things like that. Obviously, if you have a different opinion, that's totally fine. I think it's important that we all share our different opinions, but mine is rooted in the fact that I have tried a lot of these things and they didn't work for me. My teeth did not get whiter from using coconut oil, and my mouth did not become healthier because I was using it and fend off infections. So for example, I started oil pulling in the first place because I saw that in this one channel, this couple started using coconut oil and oil pulling because they had an abscess in their mouth and they wanted to try this as a first port of call before going to the dentist. And I thought, this is perfect. I have problems with my wisdom teeth. I always get infections when I'm run down and things like that, so I'll start oil pulling to see if that helps. Safe to say it did not help. I had to go to the dentist, I had to get an emergency appointment, I had to get antibiotics to get rid of the infection. For me, all the kind of benefits that I personally read about didn't work for me, and I am not for these kind of hacks when it comes to toothpaste and it comes to oil pulling. Now, I have been very vocal about zero waste toothpaste and toothbrushes for a long time, saying that they're just not for me. The only ones I've ever tried are the dent tabs, which I quite like, but I only use them when I go camping, and a zero waste toothbrush again when I'm out camping or I'm traveling or whatever. But as I say, I would love to hear your experience with toothpaste and toothbrushes, but for me, they're just a no-go. Today's video is absolutely not an extensive list of all the zero waste hacks that are out there. So if you did like this video and you would like to see more parts of this as a series, then let me know in the comments and give it a like so that I know. And subscribe if you want to see, the next video and the series and never miss another video on this channel. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it and I will see you in the next one. Ooh.